I just realized I was trying to find a link earlier, and I was unsuccessfully able to find it. And so now I'm going to see if Twitter can find it for me for a discussion later on. But no, I swear. Did you want to keep talking about the freebooting thing? It's really interesting.
No, I didn't want to talk about it in the first place.
I think you did. You were the one who brought it up.
Yeah, well, what I did want to talk about...
I think you just saw.
What I did want to talk about was net neutrality. Because this is the term that there is no replacement for as yet. And I've been racking my brains. And it's amazing, actually. As a little side note, it only occurred to me last night while I was thinking about this particular issue, how little time I now spend just having ideas. It used to be like my thing. And I'm just so busy now.
Wait. So can you go back to that? Having ideas was your thing? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, like that used to be the thing I thought I was quite good at, and people would tell me I was good at. We're just coming up with all these new ideas and creative things. And I feel like I don't do it as much anymore because I just have to produce so much stuff to feed my earlier creations that I don't sit and just have new thoughts enough. I need to do it more. That was just something I thought. It happens in life, doesn't it? You know, you're really creative and have ideas, and then you start working. Oh, wouldn't it be a good idea to do a video about every element on the periodic table and do it like this and make it look like this? But then you have to go and make the thing. That takes a lot of time. Anyway, I gave myself a bit of free time, and I thought about replacements for the term net neutrality.
Okay.
And having just built myself up for having ideas and being creative.
I was going to say, this is your thing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, I
This is
failed.
going to be solved.
I failed. It obviously is not my thing anymore because I didn't do very well. But I did have some thoughts, and I wanted to kind of throw them out there to you and to others and do a bit of a, Google sit on the beanbag, brainstorm, everyone talk when you're holding the beach ball type thing, and see if you like any of them. And I'll just tell you some of the things I was thinking about.
Let's go. I want to hear these great ideas.
And could you possibly sound less excited?
No.
Is it even possible that you could sound more bored by this?
This is all in your mind.
If it was possible, you'd be editing this out as I said it. Unfortunately, you have to wait for me to finish.
No, we'll wait for the live editing for Plane Crash Corner. That's the point I will.
I'm not even giving you the pleasure of editing out Plane Crash Corner anymore.
But you have got to be kidding me. You have been doing nothing but complaining to me about the lack of Plane Crash Corner, and I'm all ready for Plane Crash Corner this time, and now you're not going to do it. I can't.
No, because you'll just cut it out again, like you do every time.
No, well, first of all, I only cut it out once. And I think that was because it was incredibly boring. It was boring. Right, you could agree with it.
Yeah.
It was just inhumanly boring.
But it was only boring because you didn't go with it.
It
required audience participation, and I was showing you things and asking you to respond, and you were just like,
you were showing me boring things. Anyway, I cut that out because it was just no one could have sat through that.
Okay.
And then the second episode we didn't have Plane Crash Corner. You yourself said, "Oh, let's not do Plane Crash Corner," and I said, "Fine."
But I did a nice little talk about it, and I mentioned how it's your mum's favourite section on the show and everything, and you cut that out.
I did cut it out because if we weren't going to do it, what are we going to do? We're going to have a 5-minute conversation about how we're not going to do something? No, we were talking about editing earlier today. I made the editorial decision. We don't need to talk about the thing that we're not going to do.
Oh, right,
out it goes.
You're so ruthless with Hello Internet with our 1 hour 40 show.
No, I'm terrible.
Right.
I'm terrible. But I'm all ready for Plane Crash Corner. I'm going to be waiting. And I'm going to leave, whether or not you do it, I'm going to leave this in so that the internet can understand what's going on here.
All right.
But in the meantime, before we get to Plane Crash Corner, which will be very exciting, why don't you tell me your exciting net neutrality names?
All right. We are friends, everyone. I know some people get a bit upset when they hear us joking around like this and they think we're having a fight. So we should just tell them that, we are friends.
Yeah, we are. And if we do have a fight, I will just buy you dinner again.
Yeah. Although you bought dinner and you're a top gent for doing that. And then we went back to the hotel I was staying at. And I said, let's just have another drink at the bar because we're having a good chat. And how extortionate were the prices of that bar? Those 2 drinks cost nearly the price of dinner.
I don't remember because you paid for it.
That hotel was a rip-off. And they wanted to charge 15 quid for Wi-Fi when it had 3G.
He's still not letting that go.
Ah.
I think you're just delaying because you don't want to tell everybody your net neutrality names.
I'm
which
trying
you
to-
know I cannot possibly survive the build-up to this.
I'm trying to diffuse the build-up a little bit.
I know you are, but it's not going to
I
work.
thought I'd done well diffusing it, and now you're building it up again. Can you just sort of let it quietly just seep its way back into the conversation? So
Nope.
anyway, I was having a bit of a think about net neutrality and a few different words for it.
I know you want me to use that as an edit point to
No.
just jump into
that
that point, but I'm not going to do it.
That
all
was
right?
not the intention. So I was thinking about things like queue jumping and leapfrogging, things like that, because that's part of what it was. And I've written down all these, and I was thinking of there've been lots of data discrimination, which is one that a lot of people have already raised, is quite good. And I was thinking about words that involve like segregation or data damming, because they're kind of a lot of it kind of came to rivers and water and stuff like that. And I've written all these things. I'm not going to go through them all now because I can't now. I did think about pay lanes and cache lanes, and also cache for comment was always a really popular controversy in the UK when it emerged that politicians. You've heard of cache for comment?
I have not heard of cache for
Oh, no,
comment.
I'm getting mixed up. Actually, it was in Australia that cache for comment caused a big controversy. This was when radio presenters were taking sly payments to talk about products, not like in an advert way that we do, but in a kind of a sly way. And it caused all this controversy, this cache for comment. So I was thinking like, you could have some dollars for data type thing. And I had all these rubbish ideas, but there were a few that I did like.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that I didn't mind, I liked the sound of, although it has got its problems, was split streaming.
No, it's terrible.
Okay.
Terrible.
Thank you.
Thumbs down.
Tell me why it's terrible.
I don't even what is being split. I don't understand.
The
What is
stream
that?
of data.
Split streaming.
Yeah.
That just I don't know. It sounds like there's twice as much data coming into my house if it's split streamed.
Interesting. Okay. Slow flow.
No, that's also awful.
What about, unfortunately, this one's kind of already has another use, but I quite liked it. Narrow banding.
That's the best. That's the best. But it's still.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is very hard. I think what we saw on the Reddit was most people. I think the highest upvoted alternative was the data discrimination
Data discrimination, and there's also equality in that. But another thing I quite liked, I was thinking,
something.
I don't know much about medical terms, but I was thinking about sporting terms. And what about sandbagging? Because that's what's happening here. It's sandbagging.
I don't know what sandbagging is.
Is that good? Does that give it hope?
I mean, sandbagging sounds bad. But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
what it
that's
means.
start. Sandbagging, I mean, I don't know what the origin's from. Is it from car racing, where they would put bags of sand in the car to hide its true performance? And then on race day, you take out the bags of sand and your car's lighter, and oh, wow, that car's much faster than I realised. But it happens a lot in other games and sport and things like that, where players pretend to not be as good as they are for the reasons of their ratings. Like in chess, for example, you would lose chess games at times that don't matter to get a lower rating. And then you kind of blitz everyone later on, taking advantage of your lower ranking. And that's kind of what they're doing with data here. They're sandbagging, they're weighing down, slowing down certain data. And it has a kind of negative connotation to it. And it's also quite a fun term. So sandbagging.
That's the best of the bunch.
Yeah. I've still got some work to do there, haven't I?
Yes. Brady, Idea Machine Man, has more ideas to come up with, I think, for that one.
Yeah. I think split streaming and narrowbanding are cool words. The problem with split streaming for me is it actually sounds too cool. It sounds like a good thing. Like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
That's my initial reaction to it as well. It sounds good. I don't know quite why, but that definitely sounds like it's good.
Yeah.
Streams are fast. I don't know. It sounds like it's good.
Narrowbanding, I think. I don't know. It needs a bit of context.
After that huge build-up on your part, I have to say I'm quite disappointed.
I tried to dial it down a bit, but I wasn't trying to say like, oh, it's this ideas machine. What I was trying to talk about was how when we become busy people, we have less time for ideas was kind of my point that kind of I failed to make miserably before I then failed to.
Do you think if you had more time, you would have come up with better ideas? I don't think this is a time issue. I mean, if we gave you an 8-hour workday and we paid you, what you would have, your lost earnings for that time, and we give you 8 straight hours to come up with a better name, I'm not convinced that you could.
I reckon I would. I reckon I would.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'd go for
You're a very confident man.
I'd go for a swim. I'm not saying I'd come up with like a good enough idea, and I certainly wouldn't come up with an idea that you would approve.
You're just saying if I paid you for 8 hours of work, you certainly would think about it real hard.
No, I'm saying I would come up with better ones than those. I wouldn't come up with one that you're pleased with, because you will only be pleased with one that you come up with.
That is not true at all. That is an unjust remark.
It is unjust because you didn't come up with you jacking, so
I did not.
You're pushing that barrow.
Because it's a better word.
Yep. All right. Fair enough.
A final quick thing. I would be remiss if I did not mention this thing that 100 people at least must have emailed and tweeted me, which is the John Oliver's video on net neutrality.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, a lot of people sent that to us.
Yes.
And it was excellent.
Yes, it was very good. And his alternate term was cable company f***ery was his suggestion for net neutrality, because he too covered in his video the difficulty and the boringness of the term net neutrality. So I will put that in the show notes, although I have a hard time imagining that anybody listening to this show has not already seen that clip, which was done. It was done very well.
It was done. It was really good.
Yeah. So anyway, that was.
Do you know what another one for net neutrality? Brady flow.
What?
Because do you know that Brady, in some contexts, means slow?
Really?
So that bradycardia is slow heartbeat. And I was thinking, well, I can't have all the glory. It can't be called Brady flow. Also, because I don't want my name attached to something rubbish. What about grey data? Because then we could have black data, which is stuff that isn't allowed to come through anyway. White data, whitelisted data, which is the stuff that's all premium and paid for and gets the golden ticket. And then you've got grey data, which is stuff that gets slowed down and has this dreary life getting through the pipes and won't come to the house.
I know what you're trying to do here, but I think that's also a terrible suggestion.
It's terrible.
Partly because even what you just said there, whitelisting, blacklisting, and graylisting are already words, and they don't have anything to do with speed. And the same thing with white hat, black hat, gray hat hackers. I think there's trying to connect the color with the slowness, I think, is not so good. Whereas the color gray obviously has lots of connotations with being in the middle, which I think works for me because I think most of my opinions are quite reasonable and quite in the middle. Unlike yourself, who's taking nothing but extreme positions on everything all the time.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, nothing but incredibly extreme positions.
I'm not a very extreme person, though.
No, you're not. You're sometimes frustratingly non-extreme. Sometimes I want you to be more extreme in your thoughts, but you're always Mr. Reasonable. Oh, I can see both sides of the issue. That's you. Do you agree?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I do. I do see. I think there is more to every story than people realize. Mm-hmm. I think the world and life is extremely complex, and we make a lot of judgments and decisions, and our views are not very well informed. Mm-hmm. So I'm reluctant to have a really, really solid position on lots of things because I just know I don't know all the information.
It's funny to hear you say that because I would agree with everything you said, but sometimes I will still end up with very extreme positions anyway.
Well, I mean, you do have to take positions and stands. You can't just be flopping in the wind on everything. But yeah, that's why I kind of sometimes am quite mild, is because I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know the whole story. No one does. Who am I to make it? Who am I to decide?
Well,
let's talk about shredders.
Shredders, okay. I see this on the notes. What is it did you want to talk about with shredders?
When did this come up? Was it you who was shredding something?
Yes, I think you. I was in the middle of shredding a
that's right. You
messaged
me and said, "Oh, I'm in the middle of shredding all these documents," and I was like, "I've never even owned a shredder," and you were like, "You couldn't believe that." You were quite surprised, I thought.
Yes, I was I was surprised. I was disbelieving that you never owned a shredder.
This is an. I mean, your dad is a tax attorney or something, isn't he? So,
Yeah, he is. My father is both a lawyer and a tax attorney.
so you would have grown.
I was about to say a tax attornist. Let's try that again. My father is both a lawyer and a tax attorney.
Right. So you grew up with shredders.
Yes, my dad has this in his office in North Carolina. He has this big borderline industrial shredder for documents. But I mean, of course, as a lawyer, he's dealing with pieces of paper that have just very private information on them, people's social security numbers and income estimates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he needs a real industrial shredder to deal with getting rid of that kind of stuff. And I guess he always instilled in me the value of shredding any documents with any personal information.
My dad
on it.
instilled in me the value of shredding documents.
Yes, I think. Well, I've taken my own spin on this, which is that I think what you were making fun of me over Instant Messenger was that I was telling you that I just shred every piece of paper, every piece of paper that I'm getting rid of. It just goes in the shredder,
Right.
and that is not out of paranoia. What that is reducing cognitive load so that I never make a decision about, oh, is this a shred-worthy piece of paper or not? All paper is shred-worthy. That's just the way it works. That's just the rule. And that's I like doing that. Like I have pre-decided and gotten rid of 1,000 decisions over the course of my lifetime with just making this the rule. All paper is shredded. Doesn't even matter if it's just the envelope that something came in. It all goes in the shredder.
I swear someone should do some like psychological study of you. Oh, you would be an absolute gold mine.
Does that not sound reasonable to you, though? I think that sounds really reasonable.
But it sounds so ridiculously reasonable. It sounds so reasoned that it doesn't sound human. Like it's crazy.
I don't understand what you even mean by ridiculously reasonable.
It's like too rational. It's rationalized to death.
But do you hear your words? It can't be too rational. How if something was too rational? You are describing something that must be irrational, which that it can't be rational. Then I just think I am being rational.
I think you are irrationally rational.
I think that doesn't make any
like
sense.
To shred everything so that you don't have to make a decision about whether to shred things or not.
I don't see why that's so funny.
Oh, God, I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, it makes sense, but it's just kind of a bit.
Have you gotten a shredder? Are you going to join me on this or what?
No, I haven't got a shredder, and
didn't you say you had some big pile of documents that you had to shred that you're just?
Yeah.
I guess there's some
I had this
corner
pile of
of your mausoleum reserved for pieces of paper that you're never going to shred that you're just keeping. Is that?
I actually don't know where those bits of paper went. I think I must
Oh,
have thrown
even
them
better.
out. Yeah.
Even better. Where did those sensitive pieces of paper go? I know not. They're just somewhere.
I don't think I've ever heard you as upset at me as when you found out that I have a little notebook full of passwords.
Oh God, no! Don't even bring it up. No, we can't. Oh no. Oh God. I'm not even sure we can have a conversation about this now. I feel like I need to prepare for this. I mean, ugh.
I bet you keep all yours on an electronic device or something though.
Yeah.
Which is completely impervious.
It's not
at least someone has to break into my house and physically take it to get my passwords. And the sort of people who break into houses and smash windows are the sort of people who are more likely to do a poo on your bed than hack into your computer. Whereas the sort of people who are going to get your passwords out of your phone in some clever way are the exact sort of people who want to steal passwords because they want to cybercrime you. I think having your passwords written on a piece of paper in your house is safer than having them on your phone.
Well, here's the thing. I'll actually, if I can calm down for a moment,
right.
I will actually agree that having, I mean, you hide this, I hope, somewhere in your house. It's not just, you don't have a book that has written on the front cover passwords to all my important things, and you leave it next to the computer, right? It's somewhere else.
Oh, not all that information you just said is the case, no.
Oh, God. But so I will agree that writing passwords down is not necessarily the worst thing that you can possibly do. But it's also just an issue of that's just as really clunky. It seems like it's just a very, because I know you are a person who has at the very least a large number of Google accounts to deal with.
Oh, dude, I have so many
And
passwords. It's ridiculous.
yeah, so what we need to do is we need to get 1Password on as a sponsor for the show, and then we can do double duty where I can yell at you for a while about what you should do, and then we can have 1Password sponsor the show. So we'll do that at some point if we can. But anyway, we need to get back to the thing that we started with, which is
Shredders.
you wanted to bring up the shredders. So
Yeah.
why aren't you buying one? Why aren't you doing this? Can I buy you a shredder? Would you accept a shredder into your house? You're trying to give me some DVD player that I don't want. Meanwhile, you desperately need a shredder. Can I help you with that?
I think I would quite like it. I think I would quite like the noise and the how they would look and what they would do. Yeah, I'll have a shredder. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks.
Is it? I will get you a shredder for your birthday.
Don't-
You have to get one that does cross cutting. That's the way to go.
Cross cut. Why is that? What's that?
You don't want just the lengthwise cuts.
I like those length cuts though. That's like in the movies.
Yeah, but the point is not to make it like it's in the movies. The point is to shred the document. You can even get better ones that basically powderize the piece of paper, that just grind it up into dust. That's really high
The
end.
thing about the long stripes though is you've got an out. Like if you shred something you weren't supposed to shred, you could do like they do in the movies and like sticky tape that back together, and which I've always thought looks like it would be really cool.
That's the scenario you want to optimize for. How can I undo this if I shredded the wrong document?
It's always good to have an undo.
I guess. Your whole life is just so different from mine.
Do they look nice though? I want it to be a nice object. I imagine you found a nice looking one.
Well, I have to get a new one for my new office. I have a little tiny one at the moment.
Have you got it there near you?
Yeah, you want a picture of my shredder?
No, I want to hear it. This is like a podcast.
Oh, you want to?
Yeah, shred something.
Well, I don't have very much paper. Hold on, let me see if I can find something.
Why am I not surprised?
So here's a bunch of tax documents that I'm dealing with today. That's fun. I wish I could shred these. Oh. When all my tax woes are over, we should talk about how much I hate taxes.
Okay, and then I'll talk to you about mortgage companies.
Yes, and then that will be the best episode ever.
Yeah. Yeah. How are we going to advertise that one? Here, two dudes talking about tax and mortgages.
Yeah, that's now like first world middle-aged dudes problems.
Yeah, but not even interesting ones.
Yeah, not even interesting ones. Okay, I'm not sure how close I can bring the shredder to the microphone, but I found a piece of paper to shred.
I'll be really quiet.
You let me know how this goes. All right. Oops, gotta take my headphones off for a second.
All right.
Did that work for you? Could you hear that?
That is nice, man. I haven't even seen it, and you've sold me on the idea.
Good. I'm glad we're going to get this sorted. You will be living a more secure life with the shredder. And it's just fun. It is fun to just shred a whole pile of papers.
I was going to talk to you about my technology woes. Have we got time?
Well, first of all, we have to fit in Plane Crash Corner.
I'm not doing Plane Crash Corner, I told you.
Okay, all right.
I'm boycotting it this week.
You're boycott. Okay, don't put this on me, internet.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Gray. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gray. I know you like it. That's Gray's mum, not Gray's wife. Mrs. Gray is a fan of Plane Crash Corner, which makes me so happy.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you're going to make my mother sad because you're not doing Plane Crash Corner. That's fine. That's your decision.
But thank you to everyone who keeps sending me links to every single plane incident that happens. I actually am grateful for them too. Like every little two-seater that crashes into some mountain in Argentina, I find out within minutes now. So
oh boy, I'm so envious.
I'm really onto it.
Right, so I'm sorry. I was so looking forward to Plane Crash Corner. I got distracted. What did you? Oh, you wanted to talk about your computer?
Oh no,
problems.
I'll tell you what. I will give you a Brady's paper cut.
Okay, all right. Thank
you did
goodness.
a shred.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
I do like paper cuts.
Brady's paper cut for this episode that you may or may not hear, depending on how brutal Gray is with that scythe he uses to edit this podcast,
Hardly.
is going to be use of the word humble or humbling when people are not being humble or humbled in any way.
What do you mean, like Weird Al Yankovic? I'm 100 million times more humble than thou art. That kind of thing.
It's kind of like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with blowing your own trumpet from time to time. Like, you know, goodness knows we all do enough stupid things and make enough mistakes and have enough failures that when something goes right, it's okay to tell people and to feel okay about yourself. But I think this term of being humbled, and I've noticed it a lot in sport lately, a lot of sportsmen using it, which is what put it in my head.
You mean the act of someone being humbled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, either the language has been mangled, or I have just misunderstood it for all these years, and you're about to set me straight. But I don't see how someone saying, I walked into the stadium and 100,000 people were screaming, Brady Harron, you are amazing, you are brilliant. And then I went onto the field and I scored 9 goals and all the cheerleaders loved me and thought I was brilliant and every man wanted to be me and they gave me trophies and medals and I was named the best player on the ground. And I have to tell you, Gray, I was humbled by the whole experience.
Do people use the word that way? That's crazy.
Yes. How is it humbling? Like when really good things are happening and people are telling you you're awesome, well, I don't know, maybe they're wrong or maybe they're right. But to say you're humbled by it?
That's the opposite of humbled.
That's what I think. But yeah, I hear it all the time. People saying, this amazing thing happened to me and everyone told me I was brilliant. I can't tell you how humbling it was. Or people get up and win the Nobel Prize and get a standing ovation, and the first thing they say is, I am truly humbled today by this, to be given this award. How is it humbling? You're not being humble or humbled. Like, I'm not saying you're not a humble person, and maybe all those people screaming your name and that adulation isn't something you want, but I just don't understand this context of saying I was humbled.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just looked it up here. We have humbled in the verb form. To lower in dignity or importance.
Yes.
Or, with regard to sports, to decisively defeat.
Yeah. I mean,
which is not what those things are.
That's a different context. If, your team wins 10-0, you say, we humbled them. That does get used. That's the proper use of it.
Yes, but either of those is nothing like everybody telling me how awesome I am is really humbling.
I see examples of it all the time where people want to make a small or a large, they want to talk about something positive and they dress it with this word. I think it gets misused, and I'm glad you agree, because I thought you were going to tell me, oh no, Brady, you're misunderstanding the word humbled in this context. So I haven't come across it like that. The most famous use of it recently, where it was used properly, was actually Rupert Murdoch when he went before that parliamentary inquiry into all the phone hacking scandals that happened in the UK, and the MPs called him up before Parliament and he had to answer all these questions. And he started off with this famous statement saying, I've never been, this is the most humbling day of my life, or I've never been more humbled, or something like that. Fair enough, he was there caught with his pants down and he was about to get a shellacking on TV. He was being humbled. Mm-hmm. But
right, that's what the word means.
Yeah, but other people, like another recent example, the one that made me think of it was Ryan Giggs, the Manchester United footballer, who just retired after this glittering career, and deserves lots of accolades. And then he got all these ovations, and then he said he was humbled by it.